All right, everyone, welcome to our Wednesday coaching call. And today you get me. Leah is actually on an airplane headed to Cabo San Lucas right now to spend a few days with me and Debbie, and we're going to mastermind out some amazing stuff for you guys. And so I was going through trying to figure out really what I wanted to talk about today. And the big thing that I feel like a lot of us are not taking advantage of is Success World. So as you may or may not know, EXPI, which is all of us, we bought Success Magazine. So Success Magazine's been around for 124 years. They mailed you the magazine every month or every quarter. And we bought that a couple months ago, us as a company. And so they are taking that concept online. Now, there's still going to be the mailers. You're still going to get your Success Magazine in the mail. That nothing's going to change with that. But you also have access now to Success World, which is an office just like our EXP office. You're going to have access to that, and you have access to a social media app. I'm going to share the link in the chat here with all of you, so that you can actually go and you can go ahead and create your account for the social app. So I just shared that there in the chat message. And what I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to play a training. And a lot of these trainings are in the Success World. There's recordings, there's live trainings, there's all kinds of stuff. And this is all about personal development. It's all about building your business and the hacks and the tricks and everything that some major players have used. And the one that we're going to go over today, if you've ever heard of Lab Coat Agents on Facebook, which I'm sure you have, Tristan is the CEO of that company. And he has really taken it huge. And so he is actually doing a training for us in our Success World. And so this training was actually done yesterday live. And I have the recording, and we're going to watch the recording. And I also have the download. So I'm going to post a PDF download for you guys as well. And I do ask you to go ahead and click on this and download this PDF so you can work through this. And if you have a printer nearby, if you want to go ahead and print it out, that would be awesome. And so it's here in the chat message. And for those of you who are watching after the fact, I will have this PDF link in the comments here. So you guys will be able to download this PDF. And so as we go through this training, you'll be able to fill it out for yourself. Okay. All right. Yes. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys. We're going to watch him, and then we're going to do a little work after the fact as well. So you guys ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's do it. So this is Tristan.
First time I'm doing this with Success, so it'll be a fun one. And today I wanted to talk about a routine. We often look at routines as a way to really get what we want. And we often have routines, but we don't even know that they're in place. So for example, you may wake up and you go directly to brush your teeth, do the toiletries, do whatever it is that you end up doing as a routine. It's called Automaticity. And you find that most of the stuff that we do is by habit. And so I want to show you what I've created over the years. It's an evening routine that I've really solidified through COVID and being stuck at home. I'm like, why don't we just expand on this more? And I started applying it more and more to my life and to my friends' lives, because I shared this with my friends, and they love it. And one of the things that has happened over the last year of using this more is I've tweaked it, and I've seen a massive change in the awareness level that I have. And it was a little tough at the very beginning, but let me tell you, this is going to be life-changing, so pay attention. I do have a doc that I can share with you as well. I'll throw it into the chat. And if you don't get it by any chance, I'm sure that our team here can send you this, or we can post it up into the Achievers community that we have as well. And if you're not part of it, join it. It's part of the Success Enterprise thing. But I got Anders. Anders, you like my shirt, buddy? Eat, sleep, hustle, play. I love it. All right, let's get right into it. So this is an evening routine. Now I'm gonna share my screen with you shortly. It's a PDF that we've created and we've morphed over the last year even more. And it's really starting from one place, and that's we don't often think about our evening routine. And that really sets up our day for the next day. Sometimes when we wake up, we're like, okay, let's focus on our morning routine. But as important as that morning routine is, I mean, you all know Miracle Morning, Hal Elrod, great guy. That morning routine is almost like it's late. And if you talk to some of the most successful people out there, you know, I have the Success app on, so you're going to hear that ding, which is cool. Let me shut that one off. You talk to some of the most successful people out there, and success, it doesn't matter if it's family, if it's physical, you know, people are working out intensely and take care of their health, if they're financially successful, all of that, right? It doesn't just encompass one form, but successful people, they're planning the night before. And they're not just planning, it's a preparation that takes place that's both mental and emotional. And I think that's where we start missing things. And that's where I want to take you. I want to say, hey, your day actually starts the night before. It doesn't start when you wake up. It's almost like those people that tell you, look, if you show up on time, you're late. That's the same mentality when it comes to this. And so just want to say hi to a few people. I got Sarah from Miami. What's up, Sarah? And I've got Barry. Barry works with me. What's up from Washington State? Virginia, what's up in the house? Ponce, Puerto Rico. Dude, Tony, I love that. Victoria, British Columbia. I love British Columbia. And Jean from Norman, Oklahoma. What's up? Delaware, Indianapolis. Let me know what city and state you're from, and then we'll get going. Or what country you're from. I know we have a large following in Portugal and parts of Italy. So thank you, everybody, for joining in. Let's get this party started. The acronym I created, and I create a lot of acronyms to be able to remember things. In this case, it's PREPARE. And that's PREPARE. And the idea behind it is really, I came from a word that I wanted to remember so that I know that when it comes down to it, I have an alarm set so that every day at 6:30 p.m., and I have a second one for 7 p.m. just in case, it prompts me. My alarms prompt me. So this one prompts me and says, hey, it's time to prepare. And the preparation that takes place is each acronym here. I'm going to go through it with you, and then we'll dive into the Google Doc. But evening is prepare. P is for plan for tomorrow. R is for review what happened today. E is for exercise, quick exercise. P, practice gratitude. A for affirmations. R is for reflect on your actions. And E is embrace the night. Now, there's a lot more to it than that, so I want to be able to share my screen with you right now. So go ahead and take some notes. I am going to give this out in the Achievers group, so watch out for that later today. And let me see. Can I share my screen, Lauren or Garrett? Let me see if I can do that right now. And let me see here. I'm going to need some yeses when you're able to see my screen. Give me a second. All right. Let me know if you can see my screen. Let me just go back to make sure that you can see it. Yep, you got yes or no. I need a yes or no. Good, I see it. Perfect, yeses. All right, so let's get right into this. So you see here, we have the idea behind what I created. It's a whole process. And the morning part, the beginning part of this usually can take you as little as 11 minutes when you're in a hurry, when you don't have time. And there are days that I don't even do this. So out of the week, I do my best to hit at least 4 nights out of the week, because sometimes I have other things that I need to do, or I'm late on other situations. But the idea is to do this daily, even through the weekends, to be able to capitalize on what it can create for you. And now I'm going to take you through the very first one, and that's plan for tomorrow. And I also want to get to the questions at the bottom. So when we're looking at planning for tomorrow, the reason I put there 3 minutes is this, assuming that you're already taking time to plan, like on a Saturday or a Sunday. And if you're not, then the idea behind it is to take time and look at what your day looks like for tomorrow, right? For me, I'm already planning on Sundays, so my whole week is outlined. And I'm looking to this as a review. I'm looking to see, okay, what does my day look like tomorrow? What stands out? What are my priorities? Like when I looked at my day yesterday for today at night, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, well, what stands out? I have to prepare this. Oh, that's right. I missed this. I have to be mentally prepared for this. Oh, I have to be mentally ready to show up for this. And I need this. So what happens is you start anticipating what it is that you're going to do, not so you can worry about it, but so you can be mentally prepared. And a friend of mine, Ryan Serhant, when I interviewed him, he said, look, my day starts the night before. One of the things that I do is I dive deep into this and I'm like, good, I'm going to be ready for this. Oh, that's right. This is an important meeting I need to show up to. And so this makes you more present so you understand what you need to do and who you need to show up as with the right energy. One of the things I ask myself when I'm going through this, and let me get some water here, but one of the things I ask myself through this is, okay, I'm going through my schedule here on planning for tomorrow. And I'm gonna stop the share really quick, but I'll go back to it in a little bit, Garrett. One of the questions I ask myself with this, and yeah, I'll enlarge my screen, Barry. Thank you. Great job on that one. Is I say, well, all right, this is an important meeting for me. How do I want to show up for this one? And more importantly, how do I want people to feel? How do I want people to feel when I show up to this? Whether it's a meeting, whether it's just time with your children, with your spouse, with whoever, whether it's just a call. If you start asking the right questions because you're anticipating, right, those meetings and those important times that you have to show up, you start changing the dynamic of being present. And planning for tomorrow, the night before, allows you to do that, right? When you talk to those successful people out there, they have this part down for the most part. And it makes a difference in my life. Like when I do this the night before, it's pretty powerful. So I'm going to share my screen again. I want to go to the next one here for everybody. Here we go. All right, let's go into the second part to this. I'm gonna zoom in, Aubrey, for you. Thank you for bringing that out. Next is review what happened today. So often my days go by super quick because I'm bombarded from so many different things, especially with social media going on, right? That sometimes after I finished a meeting, I either didn't write something I was supposed to do down, or I wrote it down, but I didn't put it into my schedule. Or I promised I would call somebody, something along those lines. So what I do here is I review what happened today. And I'm like, oh, that's right. I had a meeting with this person. Oh, that's right. I did tell this person that I was going to send them this. This allows me to be like a catch-all where I review my notes. I review the schedule of what happened. And I also review my texts. So often I go through my text and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't respond to this person, and I promised I would do this, and I put it on for the next day. So this review process is kind of like a catch-all. And some people are great with emails, I'm not, but this is also an opportunity for them to be able to catch those emails they missed, the responses they needed to respond to, or at least push them to tomorrow to make sure that it actually happens. Now, this can be as little as 3 minutes, depending on how often you're doing this, or this can drag on for a little bit longer. So now when I have this, you see 11 minutes. I have to just change the morning one because we just edited this one. But 11 minutes for this process, this right here should take you a little bit longer if you're new to it. And in some cases, it takes me 30 minutes to 40 minutes because I prepare a lot. So now That's your R, all right, for this one. Let's go into exercise really quick. And this one, I'm going to stop sharing to talk to you directly on this one, because some people are like, well, what's this exercise at night, Tristan? I'm like, well, that's not what you think. This goes back to the idea that I got from Tony Robbins. Tony said, look, and you listen to Tony, you're going to find this in one of his messages. He says, this is the secret. The secret is that motion creates emotion. And that's a fact, right? Like you could be down one day and all of a sudden you like start running, you start jumping, you start doing push-ups, you start doing anything motion-wise. You stand up instead of sit down. All of a sudden something happens. And so the idea behind this came from that. And I'm like, what can I do? What can I interrupt my body and mind with at night, towards the night, on an evening routine that could instantly drop some endorphins into me? And then say, you know what? I'm going to drop down and do 10 push-ups. I'm going to drop down and do maybe 30. I'm going to just do some jumping jacks. It's not a full-on workout. I expect you to work out, hopefully on a daily basis, right? This is different. This is to connect your body and mind and to give you that instant energy you need, right? Where it starts dropping endorphins into your mind and you're like, okay, I feel good, right? Because what happens next after that little exercise, and I have some friends who do sit-ups. I have a friend, his name is Marcus Willard. He sends me the craziest Facebook messages with these filters. That's cool too, but he actually drops down and does 100 of something, right? He interrupts his night, does 100 of something. It could be sit-ups, push-ups, jumping, and he's in much better shape than me, so he can do that. I can't do 100 of something in a row, but you understand what I'm talking there. Motion, right? The motion creates emotion. Remember that. And that's the exercise part. So I'm going to share my screen again to go to the next one, because this is one of my favorite ones, these next two. Gary, I'm going to share my screen again, buddy. And here, practice gratitude. That takes a minute. It really does. And I start with something simple. I usually close my eyes for this one. You can do it in different ways, but I typically just close my eyes and I think through the day. And I say, well, what part of the day was I really grateful for? What part of the day stood out where I felt like I was really appreciated, or somebody did something that they didn't have to do, right? Where I connected a little deeper with somebody, and I let that rise to the top. And if I can't think of anything, which I usually do, by the way, I then go through and I ask myself, if I didn't come up with an answer there, and I say, well, what am I grateful for today? It's been a long day, right? What am I grateful for? And that can be as easy as being thankful for, I mean, I've done this before, but being thankful for my pets. And I look down because they're just sitting there, both of them, and they're tiny. And it stemmed from a COVID situation I had with one of my dogs, April 1st last year, so a whole year ago. We were barely into COVID, and both of my dogs are indoor dogs. They're small, and they're scratching at the door. They want to go out. I let them out, and they go outside, and all of a sudden I hear like this noise, like they're getting scared. So I rush out. My wife tells me, hey, go out. There's a big thing outside. So I jump out, and there's a coyote hovering over one of my smaller dogs, not the smallest one, which is like the size of, I don't even know what, a rat. And she's bloodied everywhere. So I rush, I chase the coyote, jump over the fence. The coyote's still running. I come back, hover over my dog. I think it's dead because it's bleeding everywhere. And I go inside and I tell my wife and my daughter, who woke up, it's like 5:30 a.m. And they're like, they started crying. And then I go back outside. I don't know what to do with a dead dog. So I go back outside, and all of a sudden the dog's kind of like limping towards me. And it's alive. And I'm like, oh crap, it's alive, right? So I pick it up, and I don't know what to do because I'm kind of like in shock, right? And my wife's like, you should take the dog to the hospital. So we find the local hospital, and after like 2 days, she was okay. She had just been bitten in non-vital spots, but bleeding everywhere. And the recovery on that for her mentally was really tough. But for me, it taught me a lot of things that I won't get into here, but just being grateful for my dog being alive, because she's pretty loyal. She's always with me. So now I call her my warrior dog, even though she's annoying sometimes, but still, I love my dog. And so gratefulness can really put your life in perspective. And I want you to take that moment to be able to think, well, what am I grateful for? Because the more you start practicing those thoughts, the more your life begins to change, right? And I think that's where we stop becoming victims. That's where we stop complaining. That's where we start changing our lives for the better. Because those moments of gratitude can empower our lives and propel us to where we want to be. Because now we change our mindset and we say, I'm thankful to be here. I'm thankful for the people around me. I'm thankful for this. I'm thankful for that. And all of a sudden your mind now starts gravitating to what you're thankful for instead of what you don't have, what you envy, right? That selfish part of us that we all have. And that's why I love that one. So let me go to Matthew. That's awesome, man. I love that. Let me now go to Garrett. I'm going to share my screen one more time here. I'm going to go to the next part of this because this part, all right. I love this part. Affirmations. I have an evening affirmation that I typically do that just puts my mind into the right perspective. And you know what? Let me share that with you because I often get asked, well, what affirmations do I have? I have affirmations like you do, which I go through routinely. And I use those to make me a better version of myself or who I want to become. But there's one here. Let me zoom out of this. And here it is. I'm going to zoom into this one. I call this one my evening encouragement. And I created this about 6 months ago because sometimes, like I said, I'm in a hurry and I need something to just read out loud quickly to get me into that right state of mind for the evening. And hold on, let me take some water first. The idea behind this is, again, to get me in that right state of mind. And so I go, tonight, I take a deep breath, and guess what I do then? I actually take a deep breath. I'm like, okay, good. I embrace the evening. I've done well today, and I'm thankful for my life. I'm aware of my power. I'm strong. I'm brave. I'm kind. I'm love. I forgive it all tonight. That was important to me because look what follows. I let things go that hurt me. So often at night as entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, as people that are creating opportunities for others and for ourselves, we have this anxiety at night that just doesn't shut off. Like we want to do more. Did we do enough? Right? And so this, I was practicing a form of this earlier on. So the anxiety levels that I had before in my late 20s and early 30s has gone down significantly. Now I just wake up excited, but keep on going here. My mind is at peace. I'm here tonight. I have unlimited love. I embrace all challenges. I have control over my reactions, hugely important. I have all that I need at this moment. Tonight, I'm grateful. Tonight, I am calm. I set the tone for my life and those around me, and I embrace who I am, and I love it. So the key to that is you're setting a tone. That's why I put it at the end. You're setting a tone for the life and those around you, because even though you don't know it, those people around you are watching. Family, friends, loved ones. They're paying attention to what you're doing on a daily basis. And whether you shoo them away with your tone, with the words that you use, or whether you're allowing them to come in closer to you, you're impacting them. And you don't know that you're doing that sometimes, right? It's all in the tone that you use. And sometimes because we have this anxiety inside of us, we're pushing people away. And so I use this to help me realize, hey, Tristan, you're done. You're done for the night. Just a reminder that you did everything you could, and it's okay that you didn't finish because you're never going to finish. You're never, ever, ever going to finish. So don't expect to finish tonight, but you've done enough. how it's okay. Go rest, go play, go be with your family, go do what you need to do. Because tomorrow is a new day and you're blessed with having a new day tomorrow. So that's really important. Now, the next one I'm going to share with you, this one has really changed my life by helping me become more aware. And I want to take you through this one. I think this is probably the most important one if I had to pick one. And let me, again, here I'm going to share my screen. Going in, and I have to just change the document, going back. Here we go. All right. Reflect on your actions. And this one has changed. It really has changed who I was more than all of them, because I don't think we take the time to reflect on how we treated others throughout the day. At least from a lot of the people that I talk to. And this one has been so important because you'll see in the questions below, as you start reflecting on those actions, like, why did I sound kind of angry to that person? Or, I shouldn't have treated that person that way. Or, man, I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should do it this way. What happens is, as you start reflecting on your actions on a daily basis at night, you start becoming aware of where you can change to become a better version of yourself. The best example for me was as I was, it's with my wife. I've been married for 24 years and happily married, but doesn't mean we don't have arguments or discussions and stuff like that, right? But there have been incidences where my wife says you're wrong, right? And she's right. And so I look back, and now that I'm reflecting often, I can totally see at night. The very first thing that comes to my mind when I do this, I'm like, oh, damn, I shouldn't have responded that way to my wife. My tone was way off. It was kind of like rude and hurtful. And now I'm more aware of that, because now when I go back and I'm reflecting, and it could be even with my children, because most of us have been home for COVID. That was changing up. But when my son would come up and I'm in the middle of an interview or if in the middle of something, and if I would shoo him away versus, hey, come here, it's okay. There's a lot of emotions that a young boy feels, included, excluded. And I wasn't being aware of those. And I think there's an important part to your nightly routine here. And that's getting to know yourself better, because as you do, you start treating people around you better. And we don't reflect enough on that. And for me, it's changed my life for the better. So last one here, and then I'll go into the questions at the bottom. And then obviously you guys can ask questions here. What's written underneath the underside of my hat? Live lucky. There you go. And let me go into this one. Garrett, I'm going to share my screen one more time here. All right. And then embrace the night. This one is fairly easy, but at the same time, it's a little bit of a challenge. That's why I created that whole nightly affirmation, right? Because one of the things that's so tough for all of us to do, because we're moving so fast, we're thinking of new ideas, we want to create things, is really embrace the night. Like, hey, guess what? This is for me. Is it Tristan? Guess what? What? It's nighttime, and you've done enough, because guess what? You're not going to do more. I mean, you could do more, but if you do more, you're going to be missing some time with your family. You're sacrificing other opportunities that you're not taking advantage of to be a more complete version of yourself, right? And so that's really important that you really embrace that night. And it's different for everybody, right? Sometimes yours starts a little later, sometimes yours starts a little earlier, depending on the day, depending on if it's a weekday, weekend, it's going to vary. The important part is to actually realize that there's a time you stop There's a time you stop because there are other parts of you that need to be worked on, right? Not just your business. Self, meaning physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. What about your family, your spouse, your kids, your siblings, your best friends, your friends? There's a lot more than just business, right? And this is where you need to embrace the night and say, hey, it's time for something else. You've done enough, right? And now let me get into the questions. Usually I go through that fairly quickly because I prepare ahead of time because I'm preparing. I'm going to share my screen one more time, Garrett. I'm going to go to the questions at the bottom. And as you have questions, go ahead and ask. So right here, you see there's a personal checklist section. I usually add some other things that I would add for myself there. It varies. I left that open for you. I had a few different people that beta tested this that needed extra space. I'm like, okay, let's add it. Now, here's where we start focusing on creating a better version of yourself too. Are you pleased with the way you live your life? You lived your life today? Yes or no? Now, it doesn't just end there. I want you to tell me why. Because as you start answering this and you start looking at a day-to-day answer, and you look back a day, you look back a week, what happens is when you answer why, you start identifying what the most important things are in your life. Right? As I started writing this out, and my friends started writing this out, they started identifying, whoa, I didn't realize that my day being great or not great depended so much on this and this and this. And it could be narrowed down really well. And so what I realized for me, because I kept on writing yes, 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 and then sometimes no, I realized that for me, the most important things were really, if I had a complete great day, is when I spent time with my family, like really intentful and present with them. That was important for me, very. The other part to that was, did I actually feel fulfilled with what I did business-wise that day? Did I focus on my priorities? Did I identify those priorities and work on them, right? And if I did those, for the most part, I would have a great day. I'd be like, yep, done. But if at any point I didn't, and that's how I identified it. I identified it by writing it out. And I think, to me, that was a very, very important part to this. Now, I'm going to share my screen again, Garrett, just to go to the next question. I lied to you, Garrett. I'm going to just share my screen all the time here. Sorry. So here we go. What's one situation I handled well today? And what did I learn from it? Again, going back to your day, it's going to help you reflect. It's going to help you be aware, because the number one key to change in creating this balance that we all want is actually being aware that we're doing things. And because a lot of us have created habits that we shouldn't have. I mean, it's all, even I have, everybody has habits that we shouldn't have, right? But the point is to put new habits in place, new routines in place to be able to take those out. It starts with awareness. You have to even know that it's there in the first place. So what's one situation I handled well today, and what did I learn from that? I want to focus on the positive here, right? Well, what does that look like? Because you're going to come back to it. That's why it has a little brain to it, because I have a bigger part to this that has a weekend reflection. And I want you to look at the little brain and say, well, what was my week like? What did I learn, right? And what's one situation I handled well today? It could be super simple. It could be like, you know what? My tone was really good with my kids today. Or you know, I was really proud of myself for being fully present at a meeting, and I contributed, right? It could be easy or it could be complex. Nobody's going to judge you on this one. It's just for you to become more aware. Now let's go to the one that I judge myself on pretty harshly here. But this one was the hardest question for me on a daily basis, and it still is some days. And it was also the most eye-opening, and by far, with everybody else that has done this one. It says, were any of my actions guided by any strong emotions, anger, hate, sadness, selfishness, pride, or envy, etc.? And this is where you get real with yourself. This is where you really look in and you're like, you know, Naomi, this will be in the Success Achievers for sure. And I'm going to drop it in there. This is where this is where I had to become more aware of who I was and who I am on a daily basis to be able to really change that. And this one, most people that I talked to said, Tristan, this is the hardest question of the night. Like, it's really tough. I had two people say, I don't want to, can I skip this one? Because it's kind of hard to answer. And so for me, I'm going to just be straight up with you. When I did this one, there was one that I would gravitate to the most, and that's envy. And I didn't realize that. To me, and I created this thing. So when I would look into it, I'm like, whoa, what's going on with this envy, right? What does that really mean? And I would start digging deeper on it. And I'm like, this is really interesting. I didn't know this about me. And the other one that I would focus on was I was feeling some type of selfishness there. And then I'd write out what that was. I'm like, this is new. But see, if I didn't become aware of those things, I wouldn't be able to change them, right? And I struggle. I'm just like you. I struggle with different things. But guess what? We're human. We share the same emotions, right? Happiness, sadness, anger, all this stuff. And so we just all have different vibes on them. And some of us struggle with more on certain things than others. And it's okay. The point is to be aware of it so that you can begin to change it, right? And so for me, that was extremely eye-opening on that one. And let's go to the next one. Garrett, I'm gonna ask you if I could share it one more time here. After a downer, because that was a downer for me, I'd be like, damn it, I gotta change that one. I want to change it up. Were any of my actions guided by any powerful emotions? Happiness, kindness, gratefulness, selflessness. And I'm like, this is my jam right here, because I'm pretty much happy like 24/7, right? And I'm pretty kind. So I go back through the day and I'm like, okay, I can identify these. These are pretty easy, right? But this, this is the hard one for me up here. This one's a little easier. I just want you to get going and say, hey, look, you're a complete person here. Guess what? You have challenges, but you're also doing good, right? It's okay. This is being human. Welcome. Now, was I a good example to those around me today? This one always reminds me of my grandma, because my grandma and my mother, they would always ask me, like, were you a good example today? I'm like, I don't know. What does that mean? Did I do something bad? But look, this question should never, ever, ever stop being asked to yourself, to those people around you. If you have a company, if you're a leader in some shape or fashion, if you have kids, right? Like when my kids come home from school, I don't ask them how school was. Hey, how was school? Hey, did you have fun at recess? What did you eat? The first thing I ask them is, were you a good example today? And that's drilled into them. Because who we are on the outside is a reflection of who we are on the inside most of the time. And that perception of who we are sticks with us because that's what people think we are, right? And so it's really important on this one. You have to start thinking about it like this, like when you're on social media, when you're in person, right? When you're in a meeting, when you're anything. This is why I go back to that question that I always ask at the beginning of most of my meetings in my head. How do I want to make people feel today? How do I want to make them feel? Because that's all they're going to remember. They're not going to remember what you said. They're going to remember how you made them feel. That's it. That's who we are. That's the perception of what we create. And so I always ask myself, was I a good example today? And that makes me dig in deeper because those previous two questions, what were they? They had to do with how I treated people, how I felt. Did I mess up somewhere, right? Was I kind? What did my day look like, right? And Susie, that's a good one. Susie says, I would ask my kids if they were a voice for someone who needed it at school. Were you a leader today? I love that. Good one on that one. Now I'm going to share my screen. I have two more for you. And Garrett, I think maybe you just left it on for me, I think, right? So thanks for that. All right, here, last two. Was I aware of other people's emotions today? Ooh, that to me, I put that one in because sometimes I forget. That was for me right there. Was I aware of other people's emotions? That means I have to be looking at them. I have to be seeing what their face looks like. And I have to be listening to their tonality. Like, are they angry, happy, engaged? What does that look like? How important is this in business and in life in general? Right? I always, every time I read this one, I remember one thing, and it has nothing to do with business, but it has everything to do with emotions. It's when my wife's mad at me and I ask her, here, I'm going to stop sharing for this one. But when I ask her, is everything okay? And she says, yeah, everything's okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, damn it, that means no, right? So my friend used to tell me, he says, listen to what they mean, not what they say. And the only way you can do that is when you actually pay attention to people. Listen to their tone, watch their body language, watch their facial expression, right? That's what I want you to do, because then you start becoming more socially aware, emotionally aware. And that's where the magic starts happening. That's when you truly connect with people, right? And here's the last one. And then if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Here we go. Last one. Did I maintain a high level of energy today? And what can I learn from it? That to me is how I ended it and how I would think through the day. And I'd be like, okay, let's think through this. Did I at any point in the day feel like I lacked a lot of energy? Where was it? And for me, this was important because I realized around 2 p.m.-ish Pacific time, I would kind of be like, there's a lot of lack of energy. What's going on, right? Is it what I'm eating? Is it what I'm drinking? What's going on? And so I realized for me, it was super simple. My wife's a dietitian, so she's always told me what to eat, but I've never listened to her. And so I'm like, maybe it's what I'm eating, right? Maybe my wife is right after 20 something years. So I started monitoring that a lot more. But it's important because the energy you have, that vibe you have, that vibe and energy that you give out, that frequency, that's what allows people to connect with you or not. And so if you're missing energy, even if it's calm energy, it could be great energy. The point is you need that. That's how we instantly connect with people. And so you need to be working on yourself on a daily basis, right? Whether it's mental, physical, spiritually, emotional. And now it comes back in full circle here. You need to prepare the night before to show up as the best version of yourself that day. So this has become super sacred to me, so that I do this on a daily basis. Like I said, I miss days too. I do this for sure 4 nights out of the 7, but I still miss 3. Like I looked back and I'm like, oh, okay, I miss. But at least I know what to go back to at night. Just pop it open, pop it on my iPad, check it off, boom, 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 write it out, and I'm done. And this allows me to think too as I write it out. So I'll be posting this up into the success community. It's the Achievers Success Community. And I think if we don't have a link, we'll post it up here. But any questions you have, any comments, anything here, I'm going to look at all of there it is. Thank you. Achievers.success.com. Once I'm wrapped up here, I'll post.
All right, guys. He's just getting into Q&A at this point. How was that? Like, feel free to open your mic and tell me what your takeaways are.
I loved what he posted to reach yourself at night to like help you end the day, because sometimes you don't remember the good things that you do. You only focus on the bad. And I don't know everyone in this group, but I know a lot of people, and I would be hard pressed to think that not one of us did something good.
Yep, absolutely. I love that. There's so often when we don't realize everything good that we've done because we don't take that extra few minutes, right?
Yeah, I found it very beneficial. I've been doing a lot of like podcasts with like self-help over the last like 7 years, and really like fallen into Tim Ferriss and like those guys, and started doing these daily routines. Sometimes I'm, really good at it. Sometimes I'm like, oh shoot, I haven't done this for 2 weeks or whatever it may be. So, but I do feel like when I am like writing things down and just being more present in every situation, obviously, and even writing things down at night leading into the next day, obviously will lead to a more productive day. And it was great to see it, just because now I'm like, oh, well, I haven't written my journal in like a month and a half now. So, but yeah, so I really enjoyed it.
Yep, absolutely. I have a coach that I've been working with for, about 4 years now. And he always says, if you're not planning your week on Sunday and then every night before you go to bed, planning the next day, then you're living in defense instead of offense.
Exactly.
So that's
You
huge.
have to be able to plan for the unexpected too, right? And if you aren't planning and have a little room for a hiccup or an emergency if they come up, then you really are not at your best.
Yep. Anyone else have anything? So one thing that actually stuck out to me for some reason is when he was actually talking about were you a leader today? And when he said, were you a voice today for someone who needed it? And I think that goes, not only for like speaking up for someone if you see someone, getting downplayed or criticized or whatever, but that is also for someone that just needs your story, right? I know we all have a story. We all have something to share. We all have something to help someone else. And if you feel it on your heart when you're in a conversation with a client or another agent or whoever it is, and if you feel on your heart that you needed to share something with that agent or that client, just do it, because that's the universe somehow working towards, us in our favor, where things happen for a reason. And that one little story or that one thing that you could say to that person could completely change their day. So I've realized that, and that just kind of stuck with me from that. So I'm gonna, if no one else wants to share anything, I'm gonna share my screen with you. I put the link to the Success Achievers here, but I want to share this with you because I want to show you where you can find stuff like this all the time. And let's see. Oh my gosh, I have a lot of stuff open. Shoot, hold on. Someone else give me a share while I find this.
Well, one thing, like Brett said, that he listens to a lot of podcasts and stuff like that for motivation. And I try to too. And like when you said be there for other people, it's amazing how sometimes those podcasts and stuff come back to you when you're trying to help other people. And you just remember something that you heard, and it's like so perfect for what they're going through. And it might not have been what you needed, but it's what they needed at the time. And that's happened to me several times.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, here we go. I found it. Actually, I logged out of it. So, all right. So this is, I just gave you the link here so that you can create your own profile. Right now, everything's kind of still in like beta. So there's only, 2,000 or 3,000 people who are in this. But this is, think about this as like another social app, like we need another social app, but it's a success social app. So everything on here is positive, tons of personal development. And so as you can see, like this right here is what we just watched. All right. So it's kind of like Facebook, as you have your home screen. You can go through and look at the other members, you can do all of that. You can invite other people to the group. But this is super cool because I know a lot of you have heard me talk about the daily stand-ups that I do with Don Hobbs, and Glenn Sanford is in there as well on most days. And so there's just all kinds of training in here. And if you go to events, then you'll see all of the upcoming events. And so this is the Success Achiever System Daily Stand Up. Now we're working on a Trello board, and if Trello like overwhelms you, then may not be something for you to go into. Trello is like a organizational type planning. We did mind mapping today, so stuff like that. But these are just some of the things in here, and then you have, you can go in and explore all this. But I just wanted to show you what this looks like because it's brand new, and Glenn is just now rolling all of this out as well. And he's got really big hopes and dreams for this. And so if we can all get in here and just really, pour into each other and also let them pour into us, because I'm a huge believer. If you don't have personal development, if you don't have all areas of your life firing, then you're not going to be successful. Because it doesn't matter, how much you know about listing a house or talking to a client. If you don't have that confidence within yourself and that, that development within yourself, then you're not going to be happy. So I'm a huge believer in that. You guys all know that. So I just wanted to share that with you. Leah's the one that coaches all of the real estate techniques, and I'm more of a mindset person. So hopefully you enjoyed today. I'm going to stop the recording here. I will be posting this.